Welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, where today we'll begin our discussion of Freemasons for Dummies by Christopher Hoda.
Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our thoughts and opinions are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions via our website at theworkingtoolspodcast.com.
Today on the Working Tools Podcast, we have our core three of very worshipful brother David Colbeth, who is currently worshipful master of King Solomon Lodge number 60 in Auburn, Washington. Worshipful brother Stephen Chung, who's a past master of Prince Charles Lodge number 153 in Kelowna, British Columbia. And I'm Matt Appel, and I'm a member of Mill Creek Lodge number 243 here we meet in Montlake Terrace, Washington. So we decided to go and discuss a book that's a little more, I hesitate to say elementary, a little less highfalutin than observing the craft was. That's not a great way to phrase it either, but
Foundational, Matt. It's foundational.
Foundational. There we go. Thank you. So that we could have a discussion about another book, and this is the one we settled on. It actually says, I find it interesting, right in the intro, it says that there are a lot of highfalutin books about Masonry, and that this ain't going to be one of them, and this is going to have the basics in it. And I honestly, I kind of appreciate that. Did you guys have any thoughts on the low-falutinness of it? Is that a thing?
It's definitely a basics book, and that's to me a little bit. That's what drew me to the idea of studying this one, is that we, as Steve's mentioned several times, we've also mentioned several times, this is a casual conversation about Masonry, and so I think that there is an opportunity for us to kind of go back to the roots, if you will, and explore the ideas that this book talks about. And one of the things that draws me to it is that when I was master 12 years ago, my wife wanted to be involved in some aspect. We had just really young. We had just had my daughter, my now 16, almost 16-year-old daughter, and she wanted to be involved somehow. And so I don't remember how we decided, if it was me or her or together, and that she would start a ladies' book club and that she would use Freemasons for Dummies as the book. And there was probably 5 or 6 ladies that would stay after we went into lodge, and they would kind of read through the book, and each month or whatever, they would get back together and talk about it. And it was funny, a few months in, a couple of the guys came up to me and said, "What's your wife teaching my wife?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "She's coming home and asking me questions that I don't know." I said, "Well, then maybe you should read the book." So while it's simple, it's chock full of information about the whole craft. And he talks about what the craft is, but and also things related to the craft and how of its origins and things like that. So there's some pretty great fundamental things in here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm reading the introduction now. I've never read the book. I just started reading it for this series on our podcast, and it does say literally hundreds of books written by Freemasons for Freemasons have been written. And the funny thing is, this is my 25th year as a Freemason, and I guess for the last since 2012, I've been running the 6-step program for our lodge. And so I meet all the seekers. I'm the first guy they meet. And so when they talk to me, and what can I read? What should I read? Because I know that there's so much information and misinformation out there. I've been recommending this book for years, right? I sought a little bit of guidance when I first got into the program where I was meeting the seekers, and one of my mentors had said, just recommend the one book, right? The Freemasons for Dummies. It is basic and it will not lead them astray. It won't give them divulge our secrets, and yet it'll give them great content to absorb. I'm like, okay, so I've been recommending this book for 11 years now, or no, 12 years, 12 years now, and yeah, it's funny that I've never read it, but so far, chapter 1 and the introduction have been pretty straightforward and pretty interesting. So, looking forward to it.
One of the things as I was getting started in this, I was reminded years and years ago of I don't remember exactly where I learned it, but along the line somewhere I was taught when you're going to study a book or even just read a book, but especially when you're going to study it, to literally go cover to cover. But he recommended, uh, again, opening the first cover, going right to the first. In this case, there's kind of two indexes, if you will, or two table of contents. There's the contents at a glance, and there's the table of contents. And they'd always recommend reading through those, and then reading the table of contents, getting a good idea of the actual content of what you're about to read, and then definitely read the introductions, and then read the first page or two of each chapter. And then if there's a ending of the book, then read that. Or if there's a small index, you could read through that. But then you kind of break it down piece by piece like that. So you're kind of doing it in chunks, and you have an understanding of what you're about to absorb. So I would encourage our listeners to really try and study the book potentially, especially if they're interested in masonry, just learning about masonry. One of the things I highlighted in the first section here was that it's the best known gentleman organization. I wrote off the Are We Still? Are we still a gentleman's organization? I guess we're guys. A gentleman, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of a generous term.
Well, it's funny, being the district education officer, I often address the room sometimes as gentlemen, and I keep getting corrected from some of the old past masters. It's not gentlemen, it's not guys, it's brothers, right? And remember that always. Please address us all as brothers. And so I guess we are, all gentlemen, but really we're brothers. Oh, did we just lose Matt?
Yeah, I think so. I thought he was just being really still there for for a long time, and but full disclosure, he'll come back on again. He just had his floors redone in his house, and so he's working through those, getting reconnected and reset up, and so I'm sure
he's working remotely. Yes,
exactly,
right.
exactly. But I'm sure he'll connect with us again here as soon as he can.
He'll pop up on the screen, and for those of you who are watching the video portion of this, right? The intro has been actually very, in layman's terms, straightforward. From the get-go, Freemasonry is a strange topic. It's not a religion, but it's religious. It's not a political movement, but its members have been some of the greatest political and social reformers of history. Isn't that true, eh?
Yeah.
And that's funny because the two things that we don't talk about there's three things now, but, religion, politics, and COVID, right? The things we don't talk about in Lodge. Why? Because they're so divisive, right?
Yeah. We don't talk about COVID at all anymore, so I don't know.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of an old thing, it seems like, these days. But
yeah, it seems like. But some guys still like to bring it up, here and there.
Yeah, he talks about in the beginning too that Freemasonry is mostly the methods of Freemasonry are used to identify each other. Passwords, gestures, secret handshakes. Those are the things that really are the official secrets of Freemasonry. And so I would tend to agree. It's funny, we had in our Shrink the Lodge this last meeting, we had talked about this book, and there was a section in here on co-masonry. We talked about having a co-mason potentially come on the show, and there was a lot, we were uncertain about that. And I knew Matt happened to be on a ship, on a boat coming back from Victoria Lodge's installation, and so I messaged him. I said, "Hey, ask the Grand Master if we could have a co-mason on our show," and he came back and said, "Yeah." And I was a little bit surprised. It was kind of that quickly. And so our meeting was going to be the next day, I think, because it was Sunday. And so I thought, oh, perfect. That's the topic we're going to do, Shrink the Lodge. So I kind of let him know this is a story that I had with Matt in the conversation. And it was funny to watch the guy's faces grimace when I said that the Grandmaster said it was okay to have a conversation with a co-mason, especially the older past Grandmasters. And and I said, so what is the secrets? What are the secrets of Freemasonry? And the conversation ensued. I had to cut him off at 20 minutes. We were it would have kept going, and we were having a great conversation. So I think if you're struggling for a topic or an idea to have a conversation in your lodge, if you can do the shrink the lodge concept, it's even better. But throw it out there, ask them what are the secrets for Masonry, and see what their answers are.
That's a great suggestion. We should try that. I get a few more opportunities to do education before they oust me in June, so I might just try that.
Yeah.
At the next DDGM's official visit or something like that.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Matt.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, there was a little wander through the internet hinterland of why am I disconnected?
you were really still, and I thought he's just being very patient, very patient, very patient. And then all of a sudden I thought, no way, he can't. And then boom, you were gone.
So yeah, I've wondered. Okay, so I missed some of it obviously, and now I'm going to pull us off topic. But I have wondered before what converse masonically with means exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, is that just the secrets you guys were talking about, or is it like I can't say the word Freemasonry? Or
yeah, I think, and that's part of what the conversation came up, right? We were trying to determine what we thought the secrets are or might be, and we were in mixed company a little bit because we had apprentices and fellowcraft and master masons in our discussion, so you couldn't get too close on some of the things. But yeah, everybody had a little bit of their own opinion about what they were or are, and so it was really fun. And then the conversation kind of expands and contracts and expands and contracts. It was really, really neat. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that often when I say what are the secrets of Masonry, I extend my hand to the guy and I shake his hand. I say, to me, the secrets of Masonry are concealed in this handshake, not literally, but figuratively, in the idea that I have made an obligation, he's made an obligation to ourselves, to each other, to the craft, and so on. And those are, to me, the true secrets of Freemasonry.
That's a much better description, actually. Because I always use the old adage, the true secrets are, where one Freemason may know another in the dark as well as the light, and modes of recognition, right? But when you go searching online, most of those modes of recognition are published all over the internet, right? So, but that's true. The obligations we take are contained within the handshake we give, right?
Yeah.
So that's a really good one. I like that one.
And it also, another great scenario that came up was that the secrets are really a test. The idea of, can you hold a secret? Can you keep a secret? That is really the secret of Masonry, if you will. And it's a test to validate your authenticity and commitment to the craft, and again, to each other, to yourself, and all that. And so the secrets are the ability to keep a secret. Or it's not that the secrets itself are important, it's that you can keep a secret. The right secrets.
Right.
Secretly.
Well, and can you remain true to your obligations, right?
Yeah.
That's really, I think, what it comes down to in the long run.
Yeah.
And but now diving backwards into the book now, in the about this book section, I like how it's laid out. It goes part 1, what is Freemasonry? Part 2, the inner workings. Part 3, when the lodge isn't enough, when one lodge isn't enough. Part 4, Freemasonry, today and tomorrow. It's got 6 here. And part 5 is the part of tens, and then the appendixes. Right? He's done a good job at the introduction and the entrance to what we're about to embark on in our reading, I think.
Yeah. I like the foolish assumption section. Basically, who is this book for? It's for someone that's Masonically clueless. If you're thinking about becoming a Freemason, or you recently became one, which is what you were talking about earlier. And in my case, like, if you're the wife, girlfriend, or relative of someone who's thinking about Mason or recently joined. And I remember too, we went, and then if you think Freemasonry is a cult or bizarre, or really want to find out the truth. Going back to that last one on the what your wife or relative or whatever, I was at a first degree, actually at Verity Lodge. Shout out to Zane and them. That after they have an agape afterwards, or a fellowship afterwards, and they were asking the new inner apprentice, what questions do you have, or any comments that you have? And he basically kind of looked sheepishly and said, "What can I tell my wife?" And so they shot back, "Well, what do you think you can tell your wife?" And so then they get a conversation ensued, and he wasn't sure what he could say because he had just been told over and over again, "Don't reveal the secrets. Can't converse masonically. Can't all this stuff." And so it was interesting to hear what different people thought that he might be able to share with his wife, and ultimately, it's again whatever you think. If there's a part that you think you shouldn't be talking about, then maybe you shouldn't be talking about that.
That's probably a good first test.
You're
You're
right.
thinking, should I be doing this? Maybe not.
Yeah, I think not to keep going on a secret rabbit hole here, but I think we do sometimes overemphasize things as if they're secret, and they are not necessarily. Yeah, and I would agree with you. Didn't you ask earlier, Matt? What is conversing masonically? That's a I don't. Do you have a good answer to that? I don't know.
I do not. I, on any given day, I feel like I could swing from, like I said, just not the secret words kind of thing to, converse masonically. Is that like, discuss where your lodge is? I don't know. It could be anything.
Yeah. Part of me thinks that maybe that refers to a tiled lodge setting.
That would
Well,
make sense.
I am going to do the research, and I am going to present that as education. What does it mean to converse masonically?
There you go.
And maybe I'll share that at an upcoming episode, because I think
I'm
that's a
assuming that's a
darn good
phrase.
question.
I'm assuming that's a phrase used in your ritual, right? I guess I shouldn't say.
It
Do you have
is.
that in your ritual? Yeah.
All right.
I'm
So
going to follow that up, brothers, I tell you.
there we go. So do we have other thoughts on the intro here?
Yeah, Steve was talking about how it's laid out. I really do appreciate that too. The different sections. And when I got to the one lodge isn't enough, the appendant bodies, I wrote, "Here we go again." Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he probably won't have the same opinions necessarily about the concordant or appendant bodies. Now, I am curious to know what his definition of appendant versus concordant is. I'll be curious to see what that is. In this paragraph, he only says appendant. In another part, he says appendant or concordant. So now I'm confused, but I,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I like the icons too. He's got a handful of icons, right? And the first one, of course, is ask the past master, because past masters. You can ask past masters plenty of questions, because they're the sort of Masonic Yodas, right? Of their lodge. They know the rituals, the rules, the right way and the wrong way to do things.
At least they think they do.
Yeah, and this icon is your personal past master. Feel free to pester him. Right? Yeah. The Masonic Yodas of their lodge. I think that's a great definition. Right.
I laugh when he wrote, just like your second cousin Mort in New Jersey, this book could get along without an appendix. Yeah.
Technical stuff and international, and then of course the last one's my favorite, the Mythbuster. No institution on earth has attracted more lies and half-truths, urban legends and myths, not to mention fakers, charlatans, con artists, and humbugs than Freemasonry. And this icon takes aim at the myths and misconceptions to reveal the truth about Freemasonry. So, I don't know. That's going to be my favorite one to look for throughout the book.
I'm looking forward to the part of tens as well, and the appendix. I never have actually read the Regis manuscript, so I'll be curious to see what that has to say.
All right. Well, as one of the charlatans and humbugs of Masonry, I feel like we've about exhausted our analysis of the introduction here. I encourage everyone to go out and check out the book, or check it out from your local library, or grab a copy from wherever you grab wherever you grab your books. And it's an interesting read, and our lodge used to give it to our interested people too. So it's definitely a common practice. With that, as always, please feel free to comment and let us know what you're thinking. We've gotten we've gotten more emails than usual, I would say, lately, and more contacts than usual. And I for one appreciate that. So please let us know what you're thinking, and if you have input on what we have or have not said. So with that, on behalf of Steve and David, I thank you all for listening to the Working Tools podcast. Good night.